everyone, welcome back. This class I've called New Year, New Kind of Ease, and I've put together all of the 12 movement practices that I offered on Instagram, 12 days of movement leading up to Christmas, into a class so that you can practice them all together. And I've added a few little bits as well, so I hope you enjoy. The class is designed to help you move with more ease and comfort, to find a smoother pathway of movement, so that you can move through life with a little more ease of being. So we're going to come down to lie in constructed rest position or with the legs out long in a traditional Shavasana. And we'll take 3 conscious breaths here to help us arrive, to let us drop into our body. So let your body land fully and completely upon your mat against the earth. And just when you feel ready, take 3 cleansing breaths, breathing in through the nostrils and holding the breath at the top. And breathing out through pursed lips, nice and slowly, expelling all the air out of your lungs. Letting your next in-breath just float back in the most natural way. Holding the breath at the top and breathing out through pursed lips. Last cleansing breath now. And let your breath find its most natural rhythm now, a restful rhythm. And you're just gently placing your awareness upon the flow of your breath inwards and the flow of your breath outwards. Check that your head is nice and relaxed, fully committed to the earth. So heavy and relaxed. And we're going to begin to move into the neck joints. Just making sure that the sensations in your neck remain soft and subtle. So I want you to imagine that you're drawing a small vertical line with the back of your head. It's as if you're creating or drawing that line on your mat with your head. And then you can take that action, start to draw that vertical line up and down, just a small line, the back of your head without lifting the head. See if you can keep your head nice and relaxed as you gently move. It might be just a couple of inches, maybe more, maybe less. But we start to feel the head gliding gently up and down, and we notice that our chin is lifting and lowering in response. And we feel this gentle lengthening of the front of the neck, the throat, as the back of the neck shortens, contracts. And then the back of the neck lengthens as the front of the neck contracts and shortens. Moving slowly with awareness, checking that you're not going too far. Feeling into this movement. Maybe in time that line grows a little bit larger, longer, but the length doesn't matter. It's the quality of movement that we're interested in. The smoothness, the gentle gliding sensation of the head upon the mat. Lovely. And in your own time, you're going to bring your head back to centre. And you can imagine you're drawing a horizontal line from side to side now, without lifting the head stays relaxed, heavy, and you start to draw a line with the back of your head upon your mat. The head moves gently from side to side. And we're noticing as we move slowly with awareness, if there's any tension, any restriction to those movements, where we meet resistance. Just noticing how far round we can go without any edginess, sharpness. Moving just gently away from that restriction and visiting it again. So your head is gliding from side to side, feeling the back of the head meet the earth. And when you feel that movement is a little clearer, you're going to bring your head back to its middle place. Relax for a moment, find your breath. And now imagine that you're drawing a small dot or a little circle with the back of your head. So make that intention clear in your mind's eye and then begin to draw that circle. It's just a small circle around and around. And what you might find is that you are drawing a circle with your chin in the space in front of you, simultaneously. And that you're working around all sides of the neck now, feeling the shortening, the lengthening, any stretch sensations. And just go the opposite way when it feels good for you. Maybe the chin just goes a little bit lower, lifts a tiny bit higher. Maybe the head moves around to the side a little bit more now as that circle perhaps grows in size because the movement has become a little easier, more familiar, a clearer pathway of movement. Lovely. And then when you're ready, rest. Let yourself just tune into any new sensations that you feel. And when you're ready, you're going to stand your feet. Feet about hip width apart, heels more or less underneath the knees. You're going to lift your arms up to the sky now, so be vertical with your arms. I'm going to work into the shoulders, the arms and the thoracic region of our spine. So again, the head stays nice and grounded. And all I want you to do is take your right hand and reach it up to the sky. As well as your hand, your arm is reaching. And then you're just going to drop that right hand, right arm back to its starting place. And you'll just repeat that a few times, reaching up through your right fingers, hand, arm, and then dropping them back down through space. And what you might find is that along with the hand and the arm moving, that your shoulder blade starts to uplift and is collected with that movement. And you feel the right shoulder blades just wrapping around the rib cage a little, rotating around and reaching along with the arm and the hand. And there might be a slight roll of your thoracic spine, your upper spine, to help this reaching action. And just do that a few more times. Remember, there's no rush with these movements. We're just starting to really explore ourselves, how we move, how our body moves in an integrated way, so it's not isolated to one part, the hand, the arm. There's the shoulder blade, the spine involved in this movement, this reach. Lovely. Let's bring it into the left arm now. So check that there's a nice length to the back of the neck, head is grounded. And the left hand, left arm starts to reach up to the sky and back down. And we go again, we reach, and then we drop back down. We feel perhaps the shoulder blade lifting, rooting, and then finding the earth again as we come back down. What we might discover is that one side feels a little different, maybe subtly different, maybe a lot different to the other side. But with repetition, as we keep going with this gentle movement, moving with awareness so that we don't reach too far too soon, that we're trying to bring a little bit more balance and harmony to the body, so both sides feel more familiar and similar in time. That movement becomes a little clearer. And once you feel that movement is mapped a little bit more on that left side, we're going to go from side to side, reaching one hand, arm, shoulder, reaching the other. And feel your thoracic spine rolling from side to side now, helping along with this reaching action. maybe you feel you're reaching a little higher now. That movement feels a little easier. Lovely. Of course, continue if that feels good for a few more rounds, but just in your own time. You're going to bring the hands palm to palm, and then you're going to cross the right wrist over the left wrist. You're going to turn the palms towards one another, and then you're going to just clasp your hands there. And you're going to make circular movements, maybe starting in a clockwise direction, around and around, just a small circle. But you're also adding a little bit of a reach to this movement as well. So you're still trying to gently reach up to the sky, not straining, not forcing, but we're feeling the shoulder blades again and the thoracic spine being involved in this movement. Take a few more in that direction. And then come back to stillness. And you're just going to take that the other way. So left wrist crosses right, turn the palms to meet, and then clasp your hands. And let's take that in an anti-clockwise direction now. So a circular movement with the arms, the hands, but you're also just reaching a little bit. Feeling the shoulder blades rolling, rotating around the rib cage. Sliding away from the center line of the spine. And there's movement there. So a little bit of movement through your thoracic spine. Brilliant. When you're ready, bring your hands back and just turn the palms together now. Rest your arms if you need to for a moment, but just when you feel ready, you're going to reach your arms again. Feet grounded, pressing gently into the footprints just to balance the bottom, the lower body. And then you're going to take your arms to the left together, back through center and over to the right. And you're going to just repeat that a few times, just seeing how it feels to keep the lower body steady. But move through your thoracic spine and gently reach as you get to the side. Just a touch, just as far as it feels comfortable. Reaching. And then in time, you can add a reach over to the side and then maybe up towards the back wall. And then back down and through center over to the other side and just reaching up. And then back down, across through center to the other side and reaching. So you're getting this little stretch to the torso, to the side body a little as you roll now. And take a few more in that way, exploring how that feels. The pelvis will roll, the spine will roll, the knees might come along for the ride as well. You might notice that the knees want to travel a little bit in the opposite direction or with you in the same direction. Just explore what is happening, what is occurring in your body as you move. Seeing what's true for you. And then bring yourself back to center. Rest your arms down. Maybe rest the legs out for a moment and take a breath there. Lovely. And just when you're ready, there's no rush. We're going to come into a little bit more thoracic movement, rolling. We're going to roll ourselves all the way over to our left side. We're going to bring our left arm out in front of us at shoulder height. Bring yourself fully over to your left side body and take a moment to rest through the underside of your body. So that bottom hip, waist, chest, shoulder and head is just settling, softening. Just paying attention to your grounding, feeling your muscles relaxing there, finding the ground. And the breath is quiet and simple. You're going to bring your right hand and rest it on top of your left. Knees come up to create an L shape with your torso. And just when you're ready, leading with your right shoulder, you're going to reach, gently roll forwards and reach that right hand, right arm forwards. So the hand might come onto the floor in front of the left hand, and then you're just going to lean back gently through that top shoulder. And you're going to make sure the head stays grounded, the bottom shoulder stays to the earth. And that top shoulder is leading this movement, but what you'll soon recognise is that that's not the only thing that's moving, that's rolling, that's reaching. Notice what else is moving in your body. What wants to join in the most natural way. So we're not adding anything onto this, we're just seeing what the body needs to do to find a longer reach or a deeper roll back. So your gaze, your head might turn down to the ground and your head will be collected with this movement, and the gaze will turn up to the sky as you roll back and reach that right shoulder back behind you. And your hips, your spine will roll with this movement. That top knee might lift. We're not going too far with this. Just feeling the thoracic spine around the rib cage up to the bottom of your neck area, rolling, rotating, to gently start to open you up through that shoulder. Lovely. We're going to come back to lie on our left side, and we're going to just explore the thoracic spine a little bit more, so that when we're turning with our right shoulder, or shoulders in general, we're not overusing the shoulder joint to turn. We're really using our spine as well. So how we're going to do that is we're going to bring our hand to our forehead, and that's going to be glued to our forehead throughout this movement. Left arm, shoulder stays as it is, meeting the earth. And then you're going to lead with your right elbow now. So you're going to start to travel the right elbow back behind you, and you're just going as far as it feels comfortable, and you're rolling yourself back. The head stays soft, relaxed, neck muscles relaxed, and you're just rolling in and out of this. So with the hand to the head and the shoulder kind of fixed in this position, you have to use your thoracic spine to turn, to open that shoulder. And that's what we want to do in any kind of turning or reaching around for things, when we grab things. That kind of movement has to involve the thoracic spine, otherwise we'll come into difficulty. We'll overuse the shoulder joints. So maybe your elbow comes closer to the ground behind you, maybe not just yet, but with time, with just practice, repetition, moving gently, you'll travel there. Lovely. We're going to come back to lie on our left side now. We're going to stack the hands once again. And with that awareness now of how the thoracic spine helps to open our shoulder, we're going to inhale and reach the arm up, directly top arm to the sky and back, and opening out through the shoulder by turning the thoracic spine. And just see how far you come round now. How open your chest is. How much more comfortable your right shoulder can be in that turn. Do that a few times, just rolling back to lie on left side, reaching up to the sky, over and back, turning from your spine. Lovely. One more of those, see how it feels. Top knee might lift, the hips might roll back. Lovely. I'm going to take that sequence on the other side, so just however you get to the other side, you're going to turn yourself. Right arm comes down and in front of you at shoulder height, palm facing up, left arm comes to stack. The knees come up to create that L shape, and we just begin by leading with that top shoulder into a gentle rolling action, just to kind of warm up, to limber up the thoracic spine. Not moving too far too soon, just tuning into how different parts of the body want to roll and reach along with the top shoulder, the arm, the hand. How the head, the gaze turns down to the ground perhaps as you reach forwards, how it lifts up to the sky. And just get a general sense of how this movement feels on this side, lying on your right side. Do you feel differently on this side? Is the movement more restricted, freer? Just noticing that without attaching any judgments to your observations. When you feel like you've got a little bit more movement through your thoracic spine, you bring your left hand to your forehead. Elbow will be pointing up towards the sky, and that's what we're leading with. So letting your left elbow travel over to the left, just as far as it feels comfortable, and back. And then repeating that. Left elbow leads, reaching, let the body join in as it sees fit, rolling in and out. And you might notice that this shoulder, the pecs, the chest area feel a little bit tighter on this side, or maybe freer. The hips will roll back, that top knee might lift. With the hand to the head, the elbow and shoulder fixed, we're using our thoracic spine to turn. Getting a felt sense of how it feels to move from this part of ourselves. Take a couple more of those, just seeing how far you get on that side. Remember, it's the quality of the movement, smoothness, moving without any tension eventually is what we're aiming for. Come back to lie on your right side, stack the left hand on top of the right, and with that awareness now of how you're turning from your thoracic spine, you can keep your gaze to your thumb so that you don't lead with your neck joint, lead with your eyes, as we so often do, looking too far ahead of ourselves, travelling into the future too much. Keep your gaze fixed to your thumb and only go around with your gaze to that point. How does it feel to turn with your spine now, to open your shoulder using the rotation of your thoracic spine? Take a couple more of those, just to explore that movement now. And hopefully that's a little clearer. Lovely. So you can either come onto your back from that open position or come back to lie on your right side before you come back to centre. Just lengthen the legs out. Just take a couple of breaths there as you are. And feel the effects of that movement practice in your shoulders, upper body. Breathe and reflect on what you notice. Okay. And in time, you're going to bend the knees, stand the feet. Feet about hip width apart. Spine nice and long, back of the neck nice and long. And if it feels comfortable, you're going to bring your arms and bring them up and over the head, but the elbows are wider than your shoulders so that you can really relax through your shoulders and upper body there. You're going to bring your heels underneath your knees and you're going to find your feet. So imagine that the feet were the only thing that was awake in you right now. Everything else is relaxed, sleepy, drowsy-like almost. And then I want you to press down evenly through your footprints, pressing down into the ground as strongly as you can. And then let that go. And you're just going to repeat that pressing of the feet and then letting that effort go. So you might feel the imprint of your footprints deepen into your mat or the ground or the rug that you're on. And then you feel your feet just springing gently back up. And what I want you to explore as you keep pressing and letting go of the feet is the reaction, the response in your pelvis. What happens when you press your feet into the ground? and let them go. What you might start to feel is this very subtle rocking back of the pelvis. So your sacrum flattens into the ground and there's this length, a release of the lower back muscles as they settle into the earth. Any space that was there now disappears. And then as you let go of the effort of pressing the feet, that space, maybe even just a small space, reappears. And you're going to continue just with this very simple movement of pressing the feet and letting go. And just become aware, be interested in what muscles engage around perhaps your thighs, your buttocks, maybe even your core, your abdominal muscles, hip flexors, as you press your feet. And how those muscles might relax as you let go. Take a couple more of those. And don't worry if there's not too much movement straight away. Over time, you'll start to just sense that little bit of rock through the pelvis, back and back into a neutral position at centre, rocking back and then coming back to neutral. We're going to add something on now. We're going to press the feet and let the pelvis rock back. We're going to let that go. The pelvis comes back into a neutral position. And I want you to imagine that you're pulling or dragging your feet. They don't actually move, but you're dragging the earth towards you, and your heels, you're imagining they're coming closer to the buttocks. And this is just a small movement, so no strain or force. And then you let that go, and then you press your feet. And see if you can move between the three positions, letting that go. And imagine you're dragging the earth towards you through your feet. Letting that go and pressing the feet. And so as well as the rocking back of the pelvis, coming back to neutral, as you drag your feet, you might feel a gentle rocking of the pelvis forwards, tailbone dropping down towards the ground, and even greater space underneath the lower back appears. And we're going to see if we can just make that movement over time as smooth as possible. So it's a very subtle movement through the pelvis, nothing big about it, no large, fast, erratic movements, but small, subtle, smooth movements if you can. We work towards that. And this is a really nice movement for releasing the lower spine, retraining the muscles of the hips, the thighs and the core to move the pelvis in functional ways. It also brings a lot of body awareness with it. So we start to really explore how we're moving, what occurs, what muscles recruit to move the pelvis in these ways. Lovely. When you're ready, let go of that movement, take a rest. You can lengthen your legs out if you need to. You might even bring your arms down, maybe into a cross shape or either side of your body. But we're going to come back whenever we're ready. Standing the feet, feet hip width apart, heels underneath the knees as a starting point. That's always just a starting point. You might need to move your feet according to how your body feels, how it wants to move. But this time we're going to press into the right foot, and the knee will travel forwards over the midline of the foot. That's really important. And then we let that go, and we're going to press down into the left foot deeply. The foot doesn't move, it grounds down. So if it does slide, if the foot slides, then you probably need to readjust your foot position. Maybe bring it closer to the buttocks, or a little bit wider or narrower. And you're moving from foot to foot now, pressing down, knee travels directly forwards over the midline of your foot, letting go of that foot and pressing down through the opposite foot. And again, we notice what's happening in our pelvis now. The knee might travel millimeters or a couple of centimeters. Just stay within your boundaries, your natural limitations, not travelling too far too soon, but finding a smooth pathway of movement as the pelvis perhaps now rocks from side to side, And this is our walking pattern. These are the muscles that should engage to move your pelvis in this way as you walk. The muscles around our hips can get tight, weak, due to posture, sitting, habits, injury. So this movement just helps us just re-engage, reignite, rewire the brain's messages to those muscles to switch on. And it's the pressing of the foot into the earth that results in this movement through the pelvis. So can you create a perfect footprint as you walk? Can you connect with the earth? Lovely, and come back to centre. You might just automatically want to bring your knees in, give yourself a little hug out, rock out. You might want to even lengthen your legs up into the sky. Move in a way that feels good for you. Lovely. When you're ready, you're going to straighten your left leg out and you're going to completely relax that left side leg. You're going to take your left arm out to the side, relax through your left side body completely, left shoulder, head. You're going to stand your right foot, heel underneath knee as a starting point, but now you can move that foot around. It's best bit that suits you. Right hand to the chest, head is nice and relaxed. And again, you're going to use the pressing of your foot to create this movement, to engage those muscles around the thigh now to hip. And as you press your right foot into the ground evenly, you want to feel that downward force of energy through the shin bone, the foot bone, the bones of the foot. The knee travels forward, so you're going to start to slide your right hand down across the left shoulder and down your left arm. And you'll feel your right hip buttock lift off the earth as you roll. And then you're going to roll yourself back. You're going to repeat that movement, pressing down deeply through your right footprint. Right knee travels forwards. And you're rolling and reaching over to the left. You'll feel the weight transmit from right side to left side, hip, buttock, thigh, the left foot will roll, the ankle, leg will roll because it's relaxed. It's rolling along with your upper spine, your hips. But your right knee, if possible, stays facing up to the sky, travelling just millimetres or a centimetre forwards over the midline of your foot. And notice if your head is rolling along, the head is collected with this movement of the spine, the hips, and it stays grounded. When you're coming back to centre, back to land on the earth, you're going to take your arm into more of a diagonal shape now, about a 45-degree angle between where your hand was and your head. And now you're going to reach a little bit more lengthways through the body as you press down through the right foot, and that pressing of the foot creates the rolling action, the engagement of your outer hips and thighs to turn and rotate your pelvis around to the left. Your weight comes over again and you reach all the way up diagonally towards your bottom left hand. And see how that movement feels. You're now coming into a little bit of a side bend through the spine as you reach. Take a few of those. Remember, you can rest any movement if you need to. Lovely. Just when you're ready, know that you can repeat a few more times if it feels good. But just when you're ready, you're going to swap that over. You're going to bend your left knee, stand your left foot in a place that you can really press downwards into the earth. The right side body, right leg is fully relaxed, so give it a little shake out, a little roll through the femur bone to make sure it is relaxed. Right arm comes out to the side. Left hand to chest, left elbow grounded, relaxed. And then start to press down deeply through your left footprint. Left knee travels over the midline of the foot, and just do a few of those just to check in. And then start to, as the foot presses into the earth, start to Travel your left hand across your chest, right shoulder and down your right arm. Head is grounded, just rolling with this movement. And then you roll yourself back, pressing down deeply through the left footprint. The weight transmits from left side body to right, and the spine rolls as the hips start to travel over to the right. Your gaze might again turn down to the ground on your roll and travel back up to the sky. How does this side feel now? Pressing, rolling, reaching. And take a few more of those. And you'll know in your own body when you're ready to take the arm a little bit higher if you're going there into that more diagonal position. Change your foot position if you need to, if you think that might help you press down more deeply and evenly through your footprint. And now you're lengthening your rolling and reaching action. You're feeling the left side torso, side body, getting a little bit more space and length. Try and keep your left knee facing up to the sky if possible. A couple more of those. Lovely. And when you're ready to finish that off, we're going to come back to life in Shavasana on our mats. And just a little bit of quietness and stillness. Tune into any subtle changes, differences in our body. Any new sensations, feelings, thoughts about how we've just moved. Sometimes it's challenging to slow our movements down. But know by slowing those movements down, we can be more aware of how we move, what our actions are, how far we can go, whether they feel right, nourishing, and we have to make changes. Lovely. So we're going to stand our feet. We're going to come into our happy baby rolls now. So we're going to bring the knees into the chest. We're going to take the knees wider. Now this is stage one. You can stay here with knees wide, just rocking from side to side in that way. If you're really comfortable with happy baby, the full pose, and it's quite accessible to you, holding the shins, ankles or feet, you might opt for that option. And that's what you're going to do. You're going to rock from side to side. Just gently to begin with, sensing how that feels. And that might be enough for you, and that's fine. Stay with it. Just enjoy that rocking, that massage on the spine, the back of the pelvis there, the sacrum, the lower back, the glutes are getting a nice massage. But for some of you, you might start to roll just a little bit more from side to side, until eventually you might come all the way over to one side and just relax. Drop that top leg, relax through your underside body, head there. And then you're going to pick your top foot, knee, leg up. You're going to engage the belly muscles a little. You might press into the hands a little bit more to take you all the way through centre and over to the left. Again, where you'll rest. And just when you're ready, lifting the top leg through centre, leading with that top leg. You'll go to the other side, and you're just going to take a few of these, resting on one side for a breath before coming all the way back over and down. If this feels too much, then just go back to those gentle rocks, or to maybe just holding your shins. Just time as you come back through centre, you are just going to come back to holding the shins. We're going to come all the way over to one side and just do that a couple of times now. Knees are wide, through centre we come all the way over. And this time as we come back to one side, we're going to see if we can lift ourselves up. And then we're going to come back through centre, all the way over to the other side and lift ourselves up. There, the knees will come a little bit wider. And you have to change the position of your hands a little bit to lift yourself up. But just see how that feels. Rolling all the way over and coming up. And we find our way into a kind of deer pose with the right thigh, knee in line with the left sole of the foot. Back to just simple rolling in happy baby pose if this feels too much. Otherwise, take a few more. And then when you're ready, come back to lying constructive rest position. We're going to practice rolling up now, spinal rolling up and down our mat. So in order to roll efficiently, like a ball rolling across the surface, we need a rounded spine. We need to be in our ball-like shape in our body. So we're going to peel the head up, we're going to tuck the chin, and we're going to use just a little bit of leg action at first, bending and straightening the legs. But try to keep your spine in as flexed position as possible. So even when you roll back, soften and slump through your lower back. Make it curl-like shape, a C-like shape. And that way you'll efficiently roll smoothly and more effortlessly up and down. And you're hollowing out through the front chain muscles of your body. Your stomach muscles, your hip flexors are bringing you up, keeping your knees in close. Lovely. And you can stay with this, you can rest it out, but maybe for some of you, you can place your feet heels close to the buttocks, hip width apart, and see if in time you can come towards a squat position. Check in with your knees, making sure that they like this movement, only going as far as it feels comfortable. But maybe you can start to lift up the buttocks and lift up into squat. Lovely. From seated position, we're going to come into all fours. So we're going to take our sacral rolling now. So hips over knees, shoulders over wrist joints, spread the fingers wide. And you're going to start to move in a clockwise direction with the hips circling. And just check in with how your spine feels, how your hips feel. Are they stiff, tight today? Do they start to respond nicely to these movements? Do we start to feel a little freer? And perhaps in time we can start to explore how we can untuck the tailbone as the hips move back and tuck the tailbone under gently as the hips travel round to the front through these circular movements. And how, as we get used to that, as we just drop into that movement in our body, becoming aware of it rather than thinking about it, then we notice how our spine just naturally responds to these pelvic movements, this tilting of the pelvis anteriorly and posteriorly. So not just your lower spine, but your mid-spine, your thoracic spine, and also all the way up to the back of your head. So the neck is moving in response, in the most natural response to the pelvis. The elbows are soft to support this movement. And we feel the spine moving like a wave, finding freedom in that movement. And without thinking about it, just reverse that. Let your body guide you into that opposite direction. You might find that your movements have become a little bit more expressive. deeper as the spine moves into flexion, a rounded spine into extension, a gentle back bend, and maybe even into lateral flexion, side bending. Lovely. And in your own time, you're going to move a little less and come back to a more neutral spine. We're going to start to rock back towards child's pose and bring the spine into flexion, a rounded spine, as you drop your forehead to the earth and take your gaze back towards your navel. The hands are shoulder width apart, arms outstretched in front. And as we breathe in, we're going to round up. We're going to keep our gaze towards our navel so the spine is in flexion, and we're going to rock back in that way. And each time we come up now, we're just going to travel a little bit further forwards, and we start to feel the spine just unraveling a little bit and opening up, and our gaze comes between our hands, and then we take our gaze back towards our navel. So imagine this movement is just being led by the gaze. The gaze comes a little bit further forwards, the spine starts to open up in response. So as the gaze comes forwards, the neck starts to extend a little bit, as does the upper spine. But also what is extending is your hips. So as you come forwards, maybe the gaze is at the top of the mat now, the pelvis gently drops down towards the earth. We rock back into flexion, gazing towards the navel. We rock forwards in flexion, but then we start to come into gentle extension. And we only go as far as it feels comfortable. Traveling towards our upward facing dog in time, with awareness and gently. Gently unraveling the spine, the front body into extension. Making sure your hands are in a position that supports your shoulders to remain broad so that your chest can gently pull through your shoulder girdles and find an openness there. And as you come into your upward facing dog, can you let go of your hip flexors, the muscles at the front of your pelvis? Can you soften and let go of any gripping, any holding there? And it might be that you just visit that for a moment, be in your upward facing dog just for a breath, maybe half a breath, or you might feel you can be here for a little bit longer. Stay in movement or stay in stillness in the pose if it feels okay. Softening through those hips, gently bringing the chest through, checking that your wrists, shoulders are supported with the correct placement of your hands. Okay. We're going to rock ourselves all the way back. We're going to tuck the toes under now, just rock back to sit towards the heels. And we're going to rock forwards and backwards now. We're going to work towards our squat position. So rocking forwards into the hands, rocking back. This time as we rock back, we're also going to walk the hands back towards the knees. Maybe coming onto the fingertips, and we're going to splay the knees wide and roll over the balls of the feet. Then we're going to drop the knees back to earth, walk the hands forwards and come into upward facing dog. So placing the hands where they're comfortable. Walking the hands back, splaying the knees wide, rolling over the balls of the feet. And working between the two now, and you'll get to know where to put your hands. The correct positioning of the hands to support your wrists, shoulders and chest to pull through at the end there. And you're just working in and out of these movements, extension, flexion movements, until your knees, your hips feel comfortable to come into your squat pose. The feet might walk a little bit wider, the heels may stay lifted. You might place your heels on yoga blocks or cushions. Maybe the heels come down to the ground. And we're going to come into flexion through the spine here. So we're going to round, gently, very gently drop our head down, making sure that everything feels comfortable. And as our neck comes into flexion here, a rounded neck, can you feel this simultaneous flexion, roundedness and softening through your lumbar spine? Breathing there. Letting your back body receive your breath for a few moments. Come back into rocking in and out of squat. If your knees bother you, just work towards that hold in time. Lovely. Inhaling, slowly lift up through your gaze, your heart. We're going to bring ourselves down to a kneeling position. So we're going to come into a little bit work through the hips, the core and the spine, coming into lateral flexion, side bending. So we're going to come into a kneeling position. We're going to use our hands as much as we need to for this movement, but over time we want our hips and our core, our pelvic muscles to learn this movement all by themselves. So hands down to the ground to start with, and we're going to just shift our hips to the right side of our heels. And we're going to come back up to a kneeling position, and we're going to take that over to the other side so that we're just sitting on our left sit bone, thigh, buttock, and we start to explore how this movement of the pelvis to one side, the hips traveling over, brings us into this side bend. And we might just think about how familiar it feels on one side. Maybe the side that we sit and watch our TV on the sofa, and how perhaps awkward or more challenging it feels on the other side. And we continue to move from side to side to map this movement pathway in our body so that eventually both sides feel familiar, more similar, promoting a little bit more balance and harmony in our body. So feel free to stay a little bit longer on your more awkward side. Never being any discomfort or pain there. Lovely. So now we're going to take the legs out in front and we're going to do a similar movement through the hips, but this involves a little bit more core, and it's going to lead us into just exploring internal, external rotation through the hips into our deer pose. So again, use your hands to begin with. You're going to take your lower legs and feet around to the left side of your hips. So again, we're in that side bend. Then we're going to take them through center and all the way over to the other side. So we're side bending to the left, or feeling it through the left side body as we side bend to the right, should I say, and vice versa. And we come back round with the feet, the lower legs. And eventually what you want to work towards is using the hands a little less, maybe one hand. Maybe it's just that last point, just pulling that lower leg round that you need your hands for. But you're repeating it, mapping this movement pathway until it becomes easier, more familiar, and a lot clearer to our bodies. So that our hips are trained, our core knows exactly what it needs to do to support this movement without the use of the hands. So work towards the non-use of hands over time, because you might need your hands now for this next bit, because we want to bring ourselves into deer pose. So the right foot comes inside the left thigh, the left lower leg comes back behind us, and we tuck the back foot under. And then we move to the other side. Whether you use your hands or not, we're going to bring the right lower leg back behind us, tuck the foot back under. Left foot is just resting in our inner right thigh. And we move from side to side a few times, feeling that external rotation of one hip and the internal rotation of the other. So when our feet are round to the left hip is an internal rotation and the right hip is an external rotation. Just notice that in your body, feel that, what it feels like, and then move to the other side. Maybe one side feels a little easier than the other. The next time your feet are over to the left, you're going to use your glute muscles, your buttock muscles to lift up, to open the pelvis at the front there. We're going to slowly come back down. Use your hands as much as you need to. Come back around to the other side. Maybe use your hands a touch to help lift you up, but we want hip extension to come from the buttocks, the glutes. Coming up and coming back down. Take a few more from side to side. Checking in with your knees. Lovely. And then we're going to come back to rest in Sukhasana. So you're sitting at the top of your mat with your mat out in front of you. We're going to start in Sukhasana. We're going to take a series of movements up to stand. So this is our sitting to standing pattern. At the top, we're going to do something called single leg Romanian deadlift. So a little bit of strength work, balance work there to end the practice. So the first movement is coming into deer pose, where we have internal rotation of the right hip, lower leg, foot comes back behind us, left leg is an external rotation. We're going to use our hip extensor movement, engaging the glutes to open up the hips to lift us up into our kneeling position. Then we're going to slide the right foot directly forward, so that means stabilising the pelvis and the core, tucking the back toes under, finding your right footprint, standing deeply into it, engaging the thighs, the buttocks, and bringing your left knee through and forwards to a standing position. We're going to bring the right hand to heart and bend into the lower right leg a little. And now we're coming into our Romanian deadlift. So we're going to take the left leg into the space behind us, touch the left hand down. Then we're going to come up to that original starting position as slowly and as controlled, smoothly as possible. We'll repeat that. Keeping the right knee bent, touching down with the left hand, focusing and lifting yourself back up, finding your breath. One more. Taking the left leg into the space behind, straightening a little through the right leg if you can. And this is a great movement because we're working with balance. We're lengthening the hamstrings on the way down and working, contracting on the way up. Right hand comes up. We're going to step back with the left leg into our warrior one. We're going to drop back down through that left knee. Hands can come down to hips, slide onto the top of that back foot, slide the right foot back into kneeling position, right foot comes toward left inner ankle. We come back into deer pose and the left leg comes back around into Sukhasana. Let's take that to the other side then. So left leg comes into internal rotation, deer pose, lower leg, foot back behind us. We use the glutes to lift us up into kneeling position. Leading with the left leg this time, slide the left foot forwards, tuck the back toes under. Press deeply into your left foot, engage the thighs, buttocks, lift your right knee forwards, standing. This time left hand to hip, to heart. Slight bend in the left knee to begin with, and then we're coming into our deadlift, single leg deadlift. So we're going to come in and out of that, bringing the knee forwards, and then taking it back into the space behind, hand drops down, moving with awareness. One more. Feel the length of your hamstrings as you fold forwards, straightening your left leg. Feel those hamstrings engaging, the buttock muscles engaging to lift you up. Left hand reaches up, soften gently through the left knee forwards and step that right leg back. Parallel warrior one. We're going to drop back down gently through that right knee, make sure it's pain-free, bring your hands to hips. Sliding the left foot directly back into that kneeling position. Left foot comes towards inner right ankle, knee can go a little bit wider on the right side as we sit back into our deer pose. And then we externally rotate the right hip, right leg comes back around the front. And we find our way into Sukhasana. Feel free to repeat that sequence if you wish to, just to map those movements, taking care along the way, using your hands to help you at any point. And then whenever you're ready, you're going to come back into your Sukhasana and you're going to just take a gentle forward fold. Walking your hands out in front, bowing your head down. Taking a bit of stretch to the lower back, the ligaments around the lower back, the hips there. Breathing into your back body. Just on your in-breath, lift up through your gaze, your heart, your spine. Invite the knees together, take the feet a little wider and just slide down your mat. Take your legs out in front. Reach your arms forwards. Start to soften, drop the chin down. Sink back through your chest, through your belly. Hollow out through the front chain muscles. Bring your spine into this C shape. And that means your abdominal muscles will be switched on. And you're going to use those abdominal muscles to lower you down back to the ground, vertebrae by vertebrae, meeting the earth there. Maybe the legs stay out long, maybe the knees bend and the feet stand, coming back into constructive rest position. Whether you're in traditional Shavasana or constructive rest, we're going to be here for 3 conscious breaths to conclude our practice together today. Breathing in and holding the breath at the top, and breathing out through pursed lips nice and slowly. 2 more cleansing breaths in your own time. Feeling free to stay in your Shavasana for a little bit longer, for as long as you want to. Otherwise, just give yourself a little stretch out, a hug of the knees into the chest, a roll from side to side. And let that rolling action bring you over to one side and slowly, when you're ready, up to your seat. And once you're in your comfortable seated position, bring your hands to heart center. And take a moment to acknowledge how you feel having practiced yoga. Perhaps there's a little bit more ease of being. And take a deep breath in. And a deep breath out, bowing head to heart in the deepest of gratitude. And you simply say thank you to yourself for giving yourself this time, this space, and this sacred practice of yoga today. Peace, love, and light. Namaste. Om Shanti.